This is likely the time in your journey where you'll see the most progress in the shortest amount of time. Compete with yourself and don't compare yourself to others. Everyone was a beginner at one point. You have so much potential and you're ultimately going to learn and feel more confident by taking action. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Always Active podcast, the show that empowers you to lead an active lifestyle. I'm your host Katie, and in this episode I'll be sharing the ultimate beginner's guide to the gym. I'll be diving into everything you need to know, from the benefits of strength training, to providing you with steps to take to prepare for the gym, to sharing tips for gym etiquette and having confidence at the gym, along with tips for how to safely use equipment and more. This episode is intended for anyone who's interested in starting a gym routine, so really targeting beginners here, but it could also be helpful for people at any stage of their fitness journey. The goal of this episode is to equip you with the knowledge that you need to feel prepared to confidently begin your journey at the gym and really just set you up for long-term success with weightlifting, really setting a strong foundation. I'm going to cover a lot of ground here, so get ready to take some notes, and if you think of any questions throughout the episode, be sure to write them down and seek out the answers, because having answers to your questions as a beginner can help to further build your confidence. So get excited for this episode. I'm excited for the episode. I'm excited for you to start your weightlifting journey, and without further ado, let's get psyched to move. Today's movement mindset is to embrace being a beginner. The topic of today's episode reminded me about the importance of having a beginner's mind at all stages of our fitness journey. And this is also something that I've been reminded of when supporting my friends who are new to the gym. I've had many different experiences like this over the past couple years, where one of my friends has reached out to me for support as they're starting their journey at the gym, and obviously I'm more than happy to help them out and share my advice. And it's interesting to see their perspective as a beginner, and it reminds me of what it was like to be a beginner. Now, if you're unfamiliar of the concept of the beginner's mind, it's something I've learned about when I started grad school, and the context was that we should have this beginner's mind when learning new topics and approaching research as a grad student. This concept actually comes from Zen Buddhism, and it means when trying something new, we should have an open attitude and a curiosity to explore. We should be compassionate with ourselves, and we should also enter without any preconceived ideas or assumptions, just as a beginner would. This ultimately fosters growth, and it also emphasizes enjoying the process over simply focusing on the destination. Now, thinking about applying a beginner's mind in the context of working out at the gym, you can actually apply this regardless of whether you're a beginner or you're a more experienced weightlifter. As a beginner, you can accept that there's a lot that you won't know at the beginning. You can embrace challenges, be patient with yourself, and view being a beginner as an exciting opportunity to be brand new at something. This is an opportunity for growth and progress. There are so many things you can try, and this is the only time in your journey that you will be at this beginning stage, so really cherish that. And also don't be afraid to try out new things like new machines or new exercises. This is all part of the learning process, and remember that every single person at the gym was in your shoes at one point, starting at the beginning. Now, thinking about applying a beginner's mind as someone who is a little bit more experienced or maybe very experienced, you can still apply this mindset by avoiding being closed-minded. So avoid thinking that you're an expert and you have nothing left to learn. But instead, remember what it was like to be a beginner and try to carry this attitude of curiosity with you. You can consider new ways of doing things, and you can also challenge yourself to be a beginner and learn new things. So keep this mindset in mind as we move through the rest of today's episode. Really be open to learning new things, being curious, and exploring the wonderful world of weightlifting. That was a tongue twister. So as a refresher, back in episode 3, where I was talking about the different forms of exercise, I defined strength training. And I'll just remind you that strength training refers to resistance activities that increase your muscle strength. and weightlifting at the gym would be considered a strength activity. Now, to get you motivated and excited to start working out at the gym and weightlifting, I wanted to highlight some of the unique benefits of strength training. These are benefits that exist in addition to all of the other benefits of exercise that I mentioned back in episode 5. So one of the first unique benefits is that strength training increases your strength, as the name implies, and it helps to improve your athletic performance. Strength training also boosts your metabolism, which can support with body recomposition. Strength training can also help your body to burn more calories because when you're building muscle, muscle burns more calories than fat, meaning that your body will burn more calories every day, even at rest when you're not doing anything. So overall, building that metabolism and getting it to do more work for you. Strength training can also help to change our appearance or improve our body confidence. In fact, muscle takes up less space than fat does. So if you were to gain 10 pounds of muscle and lose 10 pounds of fat, hypothetically, your weight would remain the same, but you would actually look really different because your body fat percentage would have gone down. Another unique benefit of strength training is the newbie gains that you will achieve. If you're not familiar with this is a beginner-specific benefit, and it means that people often experience really quick progress and improvements with their strength as a beginner because your body's adapting to this new strength training stimulus. And so this should get you excited because this is likely the time in your journey where you'll see the most progress in the shortest amount of time. And you get to experience these results right at the start of your journey, which can be super motivating. A few more benefits of strength training are that it reduces injury risk, improves your bone health, improves your ability to do your activities of daily living, it improves your quality of life, and so much more. If you would like a deeper dive into the benefits of exercise, like I mentioned, be sure to listen to episode 5. The bottom line, though, is that everyone should be strength training, in my opinion, and it's very important because there are so many benefits to it. And obviously you clicked on this episode for a reason, so I hope that this helped to reinforce your motivation to start strength training, specifically weightlifting at the gym. Now we'll dive into some tips and steps to take when it comes to preparing for the gym. So at this point, you've decided you want to go to the gym, you understand the benefits of weightlifting, and it's time to start preparing to actually go to the gym. I want to really emphasize here that this preparation is not meant to be a barrier to starting. And if you do think it will be a barrier, then skip these preparation steps and simply just start taking action. These are just suggestions of things that you can do to feel more prepared and help you to feel more confident. But if you think that meticulously planning everything and being super prepared until everything is perfect is going to hold you back, then just avoid doing this and simply just enter the gym and get started. Now, if you would like some information on steps to take to prepare, the first step is choosing a gym. Every gym is different, so it's important to pick a gym that works for you. Start by researching your local gym options. One way to do this would be by asking your friends what gyms they go to. And as a bonus, if you take this approach, you'll get a built-in workout buddy from the beginning. And another way to research this would be by looking online and reading reviews of different gyms to understand what they're all about. A little checklist of things to consider here when it comes to picking a gym. The first thing to consider is the location. So how close is this gym to where you live, to where you work, to where you spend most of your time? Because if you pick a location that is more convenient, then you'll be more likely to go. If you pick somewhere that is a 30-minute drive away from you, then that really adds to the resistance you might be experiencing when it comes to going to the gym. But if you pick a location that is a 5-minute walk away from you, then you'll be much more likely to actually show up because it's so much easier to do so. Another thing to consider is the gym's hours. So be mindful of when the gym is open and see if it aligns with your personal schedule in terms of work and whatever commitments you have. Some gyms are open 24 hours, so if you need that, that is more flexible, whereas other gyms would open later and close earlier. The next thing to consider is the cost of the gym membership. There are lots of different gym options with a range of prices from budget to luxury gyms. So pick the gym that fits your personal budget and also try negotiating a price. I want to share a quick story here of the experience that I had when purchasing my first ever gym membership. At the time, I didn't know you could negotiate. I didn't understand that these gyms use these kind of manipulative sales tactics. and I purchased a full price gym membership and I was upsold on personal training, and it wasn't a good deal. It was a one location membership with no towel service, no additional amenity access. So all in all, not a good use of my money. And I actually went back within the 48-hour cancellation period to cancel the membership because it was just not a good financial move for myself at the time. So I learned my lesson to not take the first offer, to try negotiating a price and maybe try negotiating the membership features and things that you have access to, and also consider purchasing a membership during a time when the gym has a promotion on membership rates. The next thing to consider is the contract. So understand what you're committing to. Ask about their cancellation policy, if there are any joining fees, and how often the membership renews. So is it a yearly membership that you have to commit to for a full year? Is it something that renews on a monthly or bi-weekly basis? Be sure to understand what you're signing up for and make sure that you're comfortable with that. The next thing to consider is the equipment the gym has, as well as the cleanliness of the facility. When touring the gyms, check and see if the basic pieces of equipment that you need are available, and also check to see if the equipment is clean and in good condition, because this really affects your experience. For example, when I worked out at my school gym, the equipment was very old and quite worn down, and a couple years into having that membership, they actually upgraded to all brand new equipment, and that drastically changed my experience for the better. The next thing to consider is the amenities at the facility, as well as the classes that are offered. So some gyms have bonus amenities like a pool, a sauna, maybe sports fields or courts. So if that's something on your gym wish list, make sure that those are available. And also, if you like classes, be sure to check out whether classes are included in your membership or if that's something you would need to pay an additional fee for, and also see what classes are offered. Most gyms offer a variety of classes, including things like spin classes, yoga classes, and circuit training. And the last thing I think you should consider is what the community is like. So what kinds of people are going to this gym? Is it a gym where people are mostly beginners? Do you have bodybuilders at this gym? Power lifters? Is it filled with fitness influencers? Pick a crowd that you feel comfortable with and that best aligns with your vibe. Also, like I mentioned before, it's nice to go to a gym where you know a couple of your friends already go there because you'll have them as workout buddies. Understand what the crowd is like. So is this the type of gym where it is constantly crowded? Or is it the type of gym where it tends to be relatively empty during certain times of the day? And also, what is the vibe like? Are people welcoming and open to answering your questions? Or do you get a more judgy, entitled vibe? Because that can also make or break your experience. And what are the staff like? Are they approachable? Are they qualified? And are they willing to support you? So that was my list of things to consider. Now just start trying out different gyms. Many gyms offer a free or low-cost trial. So for example, the first gym that I signed up with, I was actually able to get a whole month free because there was some kind of promotion going on with my cell phone plan. Some gyms also offer packages where you get a certain number of passes that you can use and they don't expire. So that's another good way to try out a gym without having a long-term commitment. You can also ask one of your friends for a guest pass at the gym that they go to, because a lot of gyms offer this where a member can bring a guest for free. And another thing you can do is consider a low commitment option before signing a contract. Consider signing up for a 1-month membership without any joining fees versus signing up for a 1-year membership from the get-go. So once you've tried out some different gyms, pick the one that checks off the most boxes for you, and then you're ready to start going to the gym. Now that you've purchased your membership, the next question is, what are you going to wear and pack in your gym bag? It is very important that at this point you are not overcomplicating things and you don't need to go out and buy any expensive equipment. Very minimal equipment is needed to get started, and this would include things like a gym bag, activewear that's comfortable and that you feel confident in. Like I said in last week's episode, you do not need to wear a sports bra and short shorts if this is not something that is comfortable for you. I know it's not comfortable for me. And I actually started wearing soccer shorts and a baggy t-shirt when I first started going to the gym. Consider wearing layers. For example, I usually start my workout with a sweater on, and then I'll take off that sweater after I've warmed up a little bit. The next essential piece of equipment that you need is a comfortable and supportive pair of shoes. Flat shoes are ideal for weightlifting, but again, that's not essential at the beginning. Also, Also, be sure to bring a water bottle so that you can stay hydrated throughout your workout. And most gyms will have a water bottle refilling station. Bring a hair tie to keep your hair tied back and a lock to secure your belongings in the gym change rooms. And finally, bring your phone. For safety reasons, you can use it to listen to music, you can use it to research different exercises during your workout, and you can also use it for tracking the different exercises and weights that you're lifting during your workout. Some bonus things that you could bring would include a pair of headphones and a workout playlist, because this can help to motivate you. You might want to bring your own towel, some pre and post-workout snacks, a change of clothes if you are going somewhere right after your workout. And you can also bring some of your own equipment with you, including things like weightlifting gloves or wrist straps. You can bring your own resistance band, a bar pad for doing things like hip thrusts, and a lifting belt. But I will say that this equipment is absolutely not essential. It's more things that you might want to consider a little bit further down the road. Remember to start simple, just bring the essentials that I mentioned, and then you can build your collection with time. And building your workout gear collection can actually be pretty fun. The next step when preparing to go to the gym is to enter with a plan. At this point, I'm not going to dive into the nitty-gritty details of creating a workout plan. These are more high-level recommendations for beginners to get you started. And if you would like, I can do an episode in the future giving some more advanced recommendations for more intermediate to advanced lifters. As a refresher, this is something that I mentioned back in episode 3. The strength training guidelines for health benefits suggest that you should do strength trainings that involve all major muscle groups at least 2 times per week. And I think this is a really great starting point, and my basic suggestions would be to aim for 2 full body workouts per week. They can be about 45 minutes to an hour long, include about 6 exercises, and you can aim to complete 3 sets of 12 reps per exercise. Again, this is super generic, a very basic starting point, but in my opinion, this is a good place to start, and you can just build from here. Now, those were the guidelines for health benefits. If we're thinking of the recommendations for fitness benefits, this is what you want to eventually work up to, and it's recommended that you work out 2 to 3 days per week for each major muscle group. Your intensity should be maximal effort, where you are working to the point where you're just a few reps short of failure, and you should be spending about 20 to 50 minutes per muscle group. I just thought it was important to provide these strength training guidelines so that you can keep these in mind as benchmarks, so that you can understand the frequency, the intensity, and the amount of time that you should be spending on your weightlifting workouts. At this point, you'll also want to set some gym goals. Again, keep it very simple here. My suggestion would be to set a frequency-based goal. So an example of a frequency-based goal would be to complete 2 45-minute full-body gym workouts per week for the next month following a gym program. That is a specific goal that you can realistically achieve and check off your to-do list on a weekly basis. You may also want to think of some bigger picture goals that you want to achieve in the long term to help motivate you. And I'll do a full episode on goal setting at some point where I'll take a deeper dive into this concept. Next, you'll want to create your workout routine. There are 2 main ways you can go about doing this. The first way is to follow a program, and the second way is to create your own routine. When thinking about workout programs, this is what I would recommend for beginners, because you can learn the basics and understand more about workout programming. So that way, eventually, you can work up to creating your own routine once you have a little bit more knowledge and experience. When picking a program, be sure to pick one that you enjoy. And for more tips on following programs, be sure to listen to episode 6. Now, if you're creating your own routine, some places where you can get workout or exercise inspo would be to simply do a search online. This is what I did at the beginning of my fitness journey. There's also a lot of free workout inspo on social media. So whether that's Instagram workouts that you can save to a folder on your phone, or YouTube videos that you can follow along to. And another way to get ideas for exercises to do would be to look around the gym and see what other people are doing, or also asking other people at the gym what they recommend. When creating a routine, be sure, again, to pick workouts and exercises that you enjoy, and you can customize the routine to meet your unique needs. When thinking of what the weekly structure of your routine might look like, you could either do full body workouts every day. Again, that would be my recommendation, especially for beginners. Or another approach that you could take would be to create a workout split. So a workout split is picking different days of the week where you're going to do different types of workouts. One type of workout split might be that you do an upper body workout on one day, a lower body workout on another day, and a full body workout on the third day. Or another example would be a push-pull legs workout split, which if you search that up, you can get a better idea of what that might look like. And at some point, I will be sure to do a whole episode about creating your own workout split. An important tip here, once you've decided on the type of workout routine that you would like to do, is to schedule your workouts in your calendar. So plan these as if they are a commitment or an appointment that you absolutely need to attend. And that way you can make sure that you complete all of the workouts that you set out to do and that they fit within your personal schedule. So if you're choosing to create your own workouts rather than following a program, here's a general structure of what the workout might look like. So you're going to start with a warm-up, then move on to your main exercises and finish with a cool down. When looking at the warm-up, this should be about 5 to 10 minutes, and this is intended to prepare your body for your workout and reduce injury risk. I personally like to follow along to YouTube videos during my warm-ups, and I focus on mobility, but some other things that you might want to do in your warm-up would include things like dynamic stretches or some light cardio on the cardio machines. Moving on to your main exercises, you want to structure your workout so that you're starting off with your compound exercises. These are exercises that are using multiple muscle groups at once, for example, your squat, bench, or deadlift. And then you're going to follow these up with isolation exercises which target specific muscles. So for example, a tricep extension is specifically targeting your triceps, or a calf raise is specifically targeting your calves. The idea of starting with compound exercises and following with isolation exercises is a general recommendation, but it's not going to make or break your workout. Be flexible with your workout plan. So for example, if a piece of equipment is being used, don't let that ruin your workout. Instead, you can just change the order of your exercises or swap an exercise or push your exercise to another day. And then for your cool down, this should also be about 5 to 10 minutes. It's very important for helping with recovery, so don't skip your warm up or your cool down. And some things that you could do during your cool down would be static stretching or some light cardio. So those are all the prep steps that I'm going to share. Now I'll move on to sharing some advice when it comes to gym etiquette. This is quite important to understand as a beginner because otherwise people might get frustrated if you're not practicing gym etiquette. And you might remember that one of the hot takes that was submitted last week is that gyms should come with an etiquette pamphlet, and I agree, but unfortunately they don't, and so you might just not know what's expected. Although a lot of these things are common sense, maybe some of them you wouldn't necessarily think of, so that's why I'm going to give you some tips so that you're aware, and now you have no excuse to not practice gym etiquette because you know. So the first tip is very important, and that is just to be kind. The gym should be a very positive space filled with people who are there to grow and better themselves. And so just be sure to treat other people the way that you would like to be treated in the gym. Also, part of gym etiquette is answering other people's questions, which means you can take advantage of this and ask for help from either staff or other members. Because if you ask, people will likely be friendly and help you, just with the caveat to keep it brief and don't interrupt someone while they're doing their exercise to ask them questions. Wait till they're done and then you can ask. Also related to this tip is to just communicate. If you're unsure of whether someone is using something, just ask them, don't assume. The next tip is to put back your equipment where it belongs when you're done. This would include re-racking plates on the barbell or plate-loaded machines, so that way you can reset it, give the next person who is going to use the equipment a clean slate and make it easy for them. Also, being sure to wipe down the equipment before and after you use it, especially things like benches or mats that you're sitting or lying down on, and the gym should provide you with wipes to do this. Next, be considerate of the way that you're using the equipment. So be mindful of the time that you're spending at each piece of equipment and don't exceed your fair share. With that being said, take your rest time. You shouldn't feel rushed because you deserve to use the equipment just as much as anyone else does, and you can use it for as long as you need within reason. But don't hog the equipment longer than necessary. So don't sit on a piece of equipment while you're having a conversation with someone or you're just scrolling on your phone for a long time. Be courteous with how you're using the equipment. Now, related to this is that you might want to use lighter weights before using the heavier weights unnecessarily when this is an option. So for example, if you can use a preloaded 45-pound barbell for your bench press, do this instead of using the bench press rack until you're ready to load more than 45 pounds onto the barbell. So that way someone else can use this equipment because it's generally in high demand. Another thing is that it's normal to be asked how many sets you have left. If someone asks you, they just are doing it for their own information and they're not trying to rush you. So just answer confidently how many sets you have left and then finish your sets before leaving. I remember the first time I got asked how many sets I had left, I was so confused and I didn't even know what the person was asking me. So be aware that if someone comes up to you and says, hey, how many more sets do you have left? You can just say, oh, I have 2 more sets, and then they'll come use the equipment when you're done. Also, use one piece of equipment at a time. I would really recommend that you don't reserve one piece of equipment while you're using another piece of equipment because that is not proper gym etiquette. For example, I can think of a time when I started using a squat rack and then someone came up to me maybe 10 minutes later saying that they had reserved it by putting their water bottle down, which I didn't even see. And I was kind of annoyed because I'm like, okay, I've already been squatting here for 10 minutes and now you're telling me to leave. So don't be that person. Just use one piece of equipment at a time and don't reserve equipment while you're using something else. The next piece of gym etiquette is to respect people's personal space, and I'm going to share a big list of don'ts right now. So first, don't walk through someone's movement path. This is a big pet peeve of mine. For example, when I'm doing, let's say, a cable exercise, and someone is literally blocking me from doing my next rep because they're walking through my movement path. Don't do that. Next, don't choose a space that's too close to someone else. Make sure that you give them enough space so that they feel comfortable. Don't walk in front of people when they're using the mirror because they're probably using the mirror to check their form. Don't block equipment while doing an exercise. For example, standing in front of the dumbbell rack while you're doing an exercise because then you're blocking other people from either putting away their weights or grabbing new weights. Don't slam weights, especially when you're near other people. Don't take photos with other people in the background. This is something I'm always kind of self-conscious of when I'm taking videos of myself at the gym. I'm always very mindful that I am not getting other people in them because they didn't ask for that. And also don't blast your music out loud. Use headphones, listen to your own music, and let other people listen to their own music. Those are all my gym etiquette tips. Now we'll move on to tips for gym confidence. I need to address gym anxiety because it's very common to feel intimidated, especially when you're first starting off at the gym. So these tips can help you to feel more confident and overcome gym intimidation. I mentioned these tips briefly in the Q&A in episode 2, but I'm going to repeat these and also give a little bit more detail. I also want to say that since you're listening to this episode, you're already going to know so much before even going to the gym because you'll be empowered with knowledge. And also, if you have any questions, I'm here to help. You can always DM me on Instagram or leave a comment below the YouTube video and I will be happy to answer. The first piece when it comes to gym confidence is undertaking some important mindset shifts. The first one is that no one is judging you. A lot of people have the fear about what other people are thinking of them, but it's important to understand that everyone is focused on themselves when they're at the gym and they're not paying attention to you. And if they are paying attention to you, that's their problem. They should just be focused on themselves, so don't take it to heart. The next mindset shift is to compete with yourself and don't compare yourself to others. Unless you're John. If you listened to last week's episode, John does compete with others, but generally speaking, this is a personal growth journey. You should be focused on yourself, and there's no need to feel self-conscious in this journey because, like I said before, everyone was a beginner at one point. Another important thing to keep in mind is to embrace being a beginner. Like I said, in today's movement mindset, adopting this idea of a beginner's mind is so crucial. And also accept that you will make mistakes. This is an inevitable part of the process, and I still constantly make mistakes as someone who's been going to the gym for close to 10 years now. So when you do make a mistake, brush it off, laugh at yourself, and move on. To help support you with these mindset shifts, I've created a resource with a big list of affirmations that you can use to help you feel more confident and reaffirm these mindset shifts. So be sure to check out the show notes where I have a link to the gym affirmations that you can either say out loud before you go to the gym or write in your journal to help you reinforce these beliefs. Now moving on to some more practical tips. The first one is to go with a friend because this makes the experience way more fun. You can either go with a fellow beginner and learn things for the first time together, or you can go with someone who's more experienced than you and they can teach you how to do different things at the gym. Thinking back throughout my journey, I had friends who I went to the gym with who were more experienced than me and taught me all sorts of things. And I've also had times when I've supported one of my friends who was brand new to the gym to help them to build their confidence. Next, you can ask for an orientation. At pretty much any gym, they will give you a tour of the facility and they can explain how to use the equipment. Thinking back to when I got my first gym membership, I signed up for an orientation and a personal trainer brought us through a circuit of different machines that we could use, so that way I was familiar with how to use each of them. And also when I had a gym membership at my school, I asked one of the phys ed teachers for an orientation, and again, he showed me how to use every single piece of equipment. And looking back, that was so important because that knowledge is something that I've carried with me to this day. If you want to take things to the next level, many gyms also offer a few free personal training sessions, so definitely take advantage of that. One of the gyms that I went to when I first started, I got 2 free personal training sessions, and these helped me because not only did I now understand how to use the machines when I did the orientation, but now I got more personalized one-on-one support from a personal trainer where I learned things like the squat, bench, and deadlift and proper form with those more challenging compound lifts. The best option here, in my opinion, would be to hire a personal trainer if it's in your budget, because this can be extremely helpful. They'll give you personalized guidance and it can drastically boost your confidence, especially as a beginner. So this would be hiring a trainer beyond just those 1 to 2 free sessions that they give you. The next tip to increase your confidence at the gym is to enter with a plan. So as I said before, be sure to create your plan as a preparation step and know what you need to do ahead of time rather than having to figure it out on the spot. This can be very helpful because you can even visualize your workout in advance and the different sections of the gym that you'll be using when you have a plan in place and you know exactly what you'll be doing. Related to this, if you have a plan and you know what exercises you'll be doing, you can learn how to do these exercises at home. So you can practice these pre-planned exercises in the mirror to check your form and understand generally what you're supposed to be doing ahead of time. And another tip, this is something that I used at the beginning of my fitness journey, was following along to home workouts. I remember watching Fitness Blender YouTube videos, and these videos provided me with a really great foundational knowledge of how to do different exercises, and they provided all sorts of tips on proper form. And that way, after I'd practiced these exercises at home during my home workouts, I was better prepared to go to the gym and do these in a gym setting. The next tip is to go to group fitness classes, because this is another way to learn exercises in a supportive setting with a coach who may be able to give you some advice within the class. The next tip is to avoid going during peak hours. Most gyms have certain times of the day when they're the busiest. So if you go during the times when they're less busy, that means there will be fewer people there and less competition for equipment, less potential eyes on you, and that can help you to feel more confident. Next, pick a gym where you feel comfortable, which I mentioned a little bit before. For example, I share on my social media that I often do some unconventional exercises at the gym, but I feel comfortable doing so because I know that the vibe of the people of my gym is that they are supportive and non-judgmental. So when I was saying that mindset shift before too, that people aren't judging you, this is especially true if it's a welcoming environment. Another thing here is that when you first enter a gym, you won't be familiar with anyone and it'll all be brand new faces. But as you start to go with time, you'll become more comfortable with the people at the gym because they're kind of those characters that you keep seeing over and over again, and you will become more comfortable with these familiar faces over time. Another thing you can do is work out in the group fitness studio, because this studio tends to be separate from the main gym area. And I still use this tip to this day. If I have exercises that don't require a specific machine or a specific piece of equipment that can only be found in the main area, I'll bring my pair of dumbbells to the group fitness studio and do my exercises there, because it is a more private environment and there are less people around. You can even search up online shy girl workouts and you'll see a ton of options pop up for workouts that you can do in the corner of the gym or in the group fitness studio that only require minimal equipment. Another great thing about doing these workouts in the group fitness studio is that you're still showing up to the gym. So as you build your confidence of showing up to the gym more and more, and as you build your confidence doing these different exercises in a more private setting, you'll eventually feel more confident and comfortable to use other areas of the gym, like the free weights or the squat rack. And my final tip for boosting your gym confidence is just to continue learning. After this episode, like I said at the beginning, go seek out the answers to any questions that you still have. There are so many resources out there that can teach you about different exercises and equipment and answer any questions that you have. So it's really important that as you learn and build your knowledge, that will help to further increase your confidence. So if you undertake these mindset shifts and you apply these practical tips, you will build your confidence in no time. And I'm quite confident in saying that. All right, now it's time for a virtual tour of the gym. I'll be sharing the different areas of the gym and what kind of equipment you'll find. Most gyms have the same general sections and equipment, but at the end of the day, just use whatever equipment you have available at your specific gym. These, again, are going to be super high-level explanations so that you can get a general idea of what to expect, but make sure to do an online search for videos with detailed instructions on how to use each specific piece of equipment once you get to that point. The first section of the gym is the cardio section, and this would include cardio machines like the treadmill, elliptical, bike, and rowing machine. And I'm starting here because I feel like the cardio area is kind of a safe space. It's an easy default place to start when you first arrive at the gym. This is what I did as a beginner, just a short cardio warm-up while I planned out my workout on my phone. And this gives you time to settle into the gym before you actually start your workout. Also, the cardio machines often overlook the gym, so this gives you an opportunity to observe your surroundings and maybe even visualize the path that you're going to take to do your exercises while you're planning them out ahead of time. And of course, another great benefit of the cardio machines is it's great to use this equipment to help build your cardio endurance. The next section of the gym is the machine section, and this includes a variety of different machines. The first type of machine is a pin-loaded weight machine, and these kinds of machines have a weight stack, and then you use a pin to select the different weight that you want to use. It's really easy to change the weight, so if you pick a weight initially and it's either too heavy or too light, you can simply adjust this by moving the pin. And my tip here is to start with a lower weight and then you can increase it until you find the right weight that works for you. These pin-loaded weight machines are adjustable, so you can adjust things like the seat height so that it's comfortable for you. And another great part about these machines is that they usually come with instructions. So they have a little diagram that tell you what to do and also what muscles are targeted with that machine, which helps to make things easy for you. In my opinion, pin-loaded weight machines are an amazing starting point. This is how I started at the gym. There was a circuit at the gym that I went to where there were about 10 different machines. And if you did all of these exercises, it would be a full body workout. So I would go to the gym, do the machine circuit, maybe do a little bit of cardio, and I was out of there. So yes, machines are great to use. And some bad advice that I received one time, a trainer told me that machines are for people who don't know what they're doing, which was so discouraging for me. And I actually completely disagree with this because these are great to incorporate regardless of the stage you're at, but especially as a beginner, these machines can be super useful. Another type of machine that you'll encounter in the machine section is the plate-loaded weight machines. So this is kind of the next level up to the pin-loaded machine. They're still a type of machine, but they're heavier and more challenging. And the word machine is starting to get kind of weird for me. I don't know if that's for you too, but I keep saying it. So with this type of machine, you're going to select the weight by loading on plates. And like I mentioned back in the gym etiquette section, it's important to remove the plates once you're done with them so that it's easy for the next person to use. These machines also usually have instructions with them. And something to consider here in terms of safety is that these machines usually have some sort of safety mechanism to lock the weights and lock the machine from moving. So learn how to get into the machine and use the safety mechanism without the weights first. And then once you feel ready and comfortable, you can start adding plates on. And the final type of machine is a cable machine. These allow for a little bit more creativity, and these are also pin-loaded, like the pin-loaded weight machines. They also usually have diagrams with different exercise ideas, and something to note here is that there are different types of handle attachments that you can put on it, depending on the exercise, and you can also move the height that the pulley is starting from. Moving on to the next section, which is the weight section. Now, this is arguably the most intimidating area of the gym, but don't worry, you can totally do this. I am confident in you that you will be able to handle the weight section. But if you don't feel ready yet, you can always start at the other areas first and then end up progressing to the weight section once you build your confidence. So within the weight section, there is the free weights area. This is kind of the main area that you would typically think of, and this has the mirror, the dumbbell rack, the preloaded barbells, and some benches. The free weights area definitely allows for more creativity versus the machines. And like I suggested before, always just start with a light set of dumbbells and then increase them to determine the right starting point for you. Also within the weight section is the Smith machine. The Smith machine is similar to a squat rack or a chest press bench, but instead of the bar being able to move freely, the path of the barbell is fixed. So the Smith machine is a great piece of equipment to learn how to do these exercises and get familiar with how they feel before you progress to the squat rack or the chest press bench. And then the final pieces of equipment are the squat rack, chest press bench, and deadlift platform. These are kind of the big ticket pieces of equipment. Most gyms often only have a couple of them, and they are usually in quite high demand. When you're first using these pieces of equipment, I would recommend to just start with the 45-pound barbell without any weights, just to familiarize yourself with how to use the equipment and do the exercises and what it feels like. Moving along on our virtual tour, the next area of the gym is the turf. This is an open space with artificial turf on the floor, and it's intended for functional training, which is athletic style training that resembles everyday movements. And I do a lot of this kind of training. At the turf, you'll find equipment like a sled, battle ropes, a jungle gym, a landmine, kettlebells, medicine balls, those kind of things. And you can also bring weights from the free weight section to this functional training area if that would make you feel more comfortable. Next, some gyms might have a designated stretching area, which would include equipment like mats and foam rollers, and you can use this area for warming up, cooling down, or doing core exercises. And then the last area of the gym is the group fitness studio. This, like I mentioned before, is a separate room that's used for group fitness classes. So if you're interested in doing group fitness classes, this is where they would take place. But if you're interested in using the group fitness studio to do your workouts, like I had suggested before, you can look at the class schedule and go to the gym during a time when there's no class going on. These studios usually have some equipment, and then you can also bring equipment to this area if you would like. So I hope this overview of the gym was helpful, and I would encourage you to take advantage of all of the different spaces in the gym and all of the different pieces of equipment that are offered, because there really is so much room for creativity and exploring in the gym. And very important, this virtual tour can only get you so far. Make sure to actually go to your gym, familiarize yourself with the different sections and pieces of equipment, and ask for a real tour at the gym. Now we're going to talk about something that's a little bit less fun, but is also very important, and that is safety. Because we need to stay safe and prevent injury at the gym. This is critical. So some ways to prioritize safety. The first would be to start slow. Don't overdo it at the beginning. Just do a couple workouts per week at a low intensity and pick a weight that challenges you appropriately, because otherwise you're just going to get really sore, which might be demotivating, and that is not the goal. Remember that you have so much potential to increase your intensity and push yourself along this journey, so just start easy to build the habit of going to the gym, and you can increase your intensity with time. The next tip is to listen to your body. Weightlifting will be a little bit uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be to the point of pain. So make sure to listen to whatever cues your body is giving you, and also make sure to prioritize rest and recovery. The next tip is to practice proper form. Having proper form when weightlifting is beyond important. When you're at the beginning of your journey too, you're building your foundation. So you want to build your foundation with good form and prioritize having very good form over prioritizing the amount of weight that you are lifting, because there's no point in adding any weight if your form is bad. And this is something that I'm still continuously learning to this day. So don't be too hard on yourself if your form is not perfect at the beginning, because I'm telling you right now it won't be. But really try your best to focus on improving your form and set this as a priority for yourself. When doing your exercises, focus on doing slow and controlled movements rather than moving the weights really fast and using momentum. And make sure to breathe when you're exercising too. Don't hold your breath. Some specific tips you can apply in order to practice proper form. The first would be to check your form. You can either use mirrors at the gym or you can take videos of yourself like I do. When I've been taking videos of myself for my social media pages, it's actually been so interesting to see, oh, I'm actually doing that exercise completely wrong when I watch the video back. So I learn a lot by doing that. Also, take feedback on form from other people. This is something that you should be viewing as helpful, and don't be embarrassed if someone gives you feedback on your form. I've been given so much feedback on my form over the years, but I don't take it as something that is a criticism. Instead, I take it as helpful information so that way I can improve my form and just continue getting better with time. Another tip is to use resources that are available or watch videos that provide instructions and form cues for each exercise. And like I said before, the very best option for practicing proper form is to either hire a personal trainer or you can ask an experienced friend to teach you proper form, because in that way you'll be getting personalized support. The next tip when it comes to safely working out is to stick with the basics. So don't overcomplicate things, and you can also start with body weight exercises before progressing to the weighted version of an exercise. Focus on doing basic foundational movements like your squat, lunge, push-up, row, and overhead press. These are the movements that you'll come back to time and time again. So focus on doing the basics before you start adding fancier or more functional moves to your routine. Also, make sure to use equipment the way it's intended to be used. Don't make up your own exercises, and don't repeat some weird, unconventional exercises that you saw on Instagram. I know there are some funky workouts out there, but they really are just out there to get clicks and attention, and some people are taking it way too far. So focus on the basics, and it will serve you better in the long run. And finally, just ask for help. Ask for help when you don't know how to use a piece of equipment or you're unsure of your form. It is the staff's job to help you, so don't be scared to ask them. And you can also ask for someone to spot you when you're lifting a heavier weight. So let's say you're doing a bench press and you're lifting a weight that you know will be challenging for you. Ask someone to serve as a spot, and then if you fail with your bench press, they can help to safely lift the weight off of you. Although I would say when you are a beginner, I don't know if a spot is 100% necessary at that point. This is more of a tip to consider when you are becoming more advanced in lifting those heavier weights. So those are kind of the basics and everything you need to know when just beginning at the gym. Mastering the basics is super important, and again, keep it simple. You're going to carry these foundational skills with you going forward. So really focus on prioritizing proper form, prioritizing the basics, and building that habit of going to the gym at this point. As you progress throughout your journey, you can start incorporating more advanced training techniques. You can build in progressive overload into your routine, which is increasing the intensity over time. And in a future episode, I will provide more advanced information if that is something that will be helpful to you. Don't think I forgot about our Psych spotlight today. I just kind of rearranged the segments a little bit, so trying out something new. And today's Psych spotlight is a study that was interested in exploring the relationship between working out in an environment with mirrors and how that affects mood among inactive women. And so what they did is they had two different conditions. One was an environment with mirrors and one was an environment without mirrors. And these participants exercised in one of those two conditions. And what they found was that the women in the mirrored condition felt worse after exercising compared to the women in the non-mirrored condition. And they said that this aligned with the objective self-awareness theory, which is a theory that suggests if we encounter something that leads us to focus on ourselves, for example, a mirror, this can increase our self-awareness, which would lead to a self-evaluation where we compare our actual self to our ideal self. And if we perceive that there are differences between our actual and ideal self, this can lead to negative self-evaluations and negative mood. So what are the practical takeaways from this study? Yes, mirrors can help to improve our form, but mirrors can also lead to worsened mood. So beginners should consider working out in an environment without mirrors to avoid these negative feelings. Because negative mood following an exercise will decrease your motivation to work out again and establish a regular routine. So my suggestion would be to work out in the areas of the gym without mirrors, which might be the cardio area, the machine area, the functional training area, or even the group fitness studio. And when you're just starting out, use other techniques aside from using a mirror for checking your form. For example, asking for guidance from a trainer or a friend. My other suggestion would be to use the weight machines rather than using the free weights because they tend to be easier to use and they require a little bit less attention to form. I first learned about this study in a psychology course in my undergrad, and I remember finding it so interesting, so I hope you found this study interesting too. It was surprising to me that there seems to be a relationship between whether there is a mirror in the environment and our mood. Closing things off with our community responses, I asked you some different questions about your experience with weightlifting at the gym over on Instagram. So the first question was, do you currently lift weights at the gym? 62% of you said yes every week, 25% said yes sometimes, 6% said no but I plan to start, and 6% said I go to the gym, but I don't lift weights. It was interesting for me to see that most members of the Always Active community are already experienced weightlifters. So if you are an experienced weightlifter, I would encourage you to share this episode with a friend who is a beginner, or you can take the learnings from this episode and apply them if you are supporting someone who's new to the gym. And I also hope that you learned something from this episode regardless of the stage that you're at. The next question I asked was, what is the biggest challenge you faced or are currently facing as a beginner at the gym? 47% said lack of knowledge about how to safely use gym equipment. 29% said lack of knowledge about how to plan my workouts, and 24% said lack of confidence. And I did provide the option that was lack of knowledge about gym etiquette, but no one responded that that was their top challenge. I addressed all of these different challenges in this episode, so I hope the tips I shared are helpful. Personally, the biggest challenge I faced was a lack of knowledge about planning workouts at the beginning, and that's something that I had to actively seek out more information to get a better understanding of how to plan my workouts. And although no one responded gym etiquette, I still think it's important to know these things as a beginner. Next, I asked, how confident do you feel in your ability to lift weights at the gym? And I provided a scale ranging from not confident all the way to very confident. There was quite a wide spread of responses on pretty much every point of the scale. The average response was just above the halfway mark, so around somewhat confident. And the goal of this episode was to help you to feel more confident in your ability. So I hope this knowledge that I provided helped to an extent. Knowledge really can only get you so far, and you're ultimately going to learn and feel more confident by taking action, and your confidence will increase with more experience with weightlifting. Finally, I asked for tips from experienced weightlifters, and this is what you said. The first response was, don't worry about taking up space, you deserve to be at the gym. I think this is such an important mindset to have, so thank you for submitting this. I completely agree that you can absolutely take up space at the gym as a beginner, and every single person at the gym has been a beginner at one point, and they should be supportive of you at this stage in your journey. The next response was, get familiar with the machines. I totally agree. Machines are a great starting point, and as you build your confidence with the machines, it can help you to build your confidence with the other pieces of equipment. The next tip was to use a workout program. Yes, I completely agree with this too. Workout programs are so helpful, especially for beginners. One of you said, don't lift super heavy. In the beginning, it's all about getting the right form for the exercise. And like I said before, this is so crucial. Form is way more important than intensity. And the final tip, which is actually a piece of gym etiquette, is to re-rack the weights where they're supposed to be. So for example, don't put the 20s back in the 40 section on the dumbbell rack. And yes, I completely agree here. Put everything back where it belongs, and it makes the gym a better place for everyone. So we covered a lot in today's episode, and I hope you learned something new and you're feeling more confident after listening. Now that you have this knowledge, it's time to take action. I believe in you, you've got this, and you can absolutely crush all of your goals with weightlifting at the gym. If you found this episode helpful, it would mean so much to me if you could please share it with a fellow beginner, because it could really help them at the beginning of their weightlifting journey. And if you have any questions, you can always DM me on Instagram or leave a comment on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and happy lifting. See you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Always Active podcast. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I would be grateful if you could please leave a review. Also, be sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at all.ways.active so that your responses can be featured in future episodes. See you next time.